Volunteering is a huge aspect of retirement. It clearly improves your mental and physical health. Giving back is a huge benefit that most people don't really realize until they do it. So it is incredibly rewarding, and it will increase your longevity, and it will make you feel like you are really doing something constructive in your life as opposed to just working and making a wage. Most people are living healthier. Question? Comment?
It's more of a suggestion, actually. So if any of you, all of us have clients, if you've got anybody who's thinking about, like, what the heck am I going to do? Everybody out there needs officials. One of my favourite pastimes is basically officiating in field hockey.
Soccer, field hockey, or
lacrosse is huge at the moment. Yep. You want people to basically keep fit and also mental, because you've got to make decisions very quickly. So I suggest that to some of your clients.
That is an excellent alternative. Keeps you active, keeps you out moving. For those of us that still can move, living healthier is always a good option. Eating better, still trying to do it, not very good at it. Exercising every day, doing something, walking, doing something to keep your mind awake is very important, and being around people. Now, there are other tips that I've pulled from various websites that I think are really helpful. You already named it. Being a coach to another, or being an officiant. But these are things that, on my list, that I'm talking about with clients to make sure that they are doing, whether or not they're retired, but as they're winding down their business, winding down their involvement in as professionals. Get a financial coach, a financial planner, or be one if you're capable of doing it. So when you all retire, you'll become financial coaches and advisors to others, because if you enjoy doing what you're doing, you'll continue to enjoy doing it after you've stopped working full time. Get your estate planning documents in order and do them periodically, because again, they're things that require change, even if you're not aware of it. I got a question about that, by the way, the other day from a client. They said, well, when we're done doing all these documents and we get all our stuff into our trusts and we've done all this planning, how will we know if we're up to date? I said, usually an estate planner ethically has to terminate the engagement at the end of the engagement, because if they don't, they do have an ongoing obligation. And with over 2,300 clients, personally, it's almost impossible to do that on an ongoing basis. So we terminate the engagement in the final letter where we transmit the documents and we tell them what's going on. But we say, unless it's a client that says you're going to be doing work for us every year, we say, subscribe to my blog, Blueprint for Wealth. There I will keep you apprised of changes. Subscribe to other blogs too, and get information as much as you can, because when there's a major tax reform bill that comes out, or the increase in the exemptions or other things, I'm going to be posting stuff on that. And if you're subscribed to it, you'll get a notification that this law has changed, or Virginia has enacted new laws relating to decanting, which they just did. So we'll keep you apprised of all that, as well as the regular marketing stuff. Have a backup plan for you. What if you're not here? You've got all these clients. What is your business succession plan? And have you communicated that to your clients? Just because you work for Merrill Lynch doesn't mean they're just going to stay with Merrill Lynch. Who is your backup? Just because you're with UBS doesn't mean that they're going to stay with UBS, or whoever you're with. Big organizations obviously give a lot of economies of scale, Morgan Stanley, just huge economies of scale, huge workforces. But you all are independent within those organizations to some degree. And so we want to make sure that we've provided for a backup plan. Evaluate your investments periodically. I like quarterly, annually at a minimum. You do that with your clients, you're in good shape. You should be communicating with your clients all the time. Involve the family in financial planning, which gets to your point of, are we invested in the right things? So my brother asked me about how my mom's assets were invested. I sent him all the statements and explained why we have things the way they are. He was like, oh, this is great, good. Keep the family involved. Transparency is a good thing. Some of our clients don't want our kids to know anything about it. That's a risk. There's a risk associated with that because they may get involved with a bad financial planner, a Madoff or somebody that puts them into the wrong stuff. They lose everything. And then what happens? Then they start looking for scapegoats, people to blame. So I think transparency is better. What I wanted to finish with was talking about this book. I don't know if any of you have read The Ultimate Gift. It's by Jim Stovall, and it was written back in the early 2000s, 2001 as a matter of fact. It is a great book. And it follows on with a subsequent short story dealing with the situation. But it's all about this guy who was bigger than life, Red Stevens. He was born into obscurity. This is a fictional story, obviously. And unbelievable poverty in the swamplands of Louisiana. And as a very young man, he headed to Texas with nothing more than the clothes on his back and blah, blah, blah. He forged an empire in cattle, oil, finance, an industry that was worth billions of dollars. And he did everything in a very, very big way. He was sometimes a ruthless businessman. And he provided his family with everything that they ever needed or wanted. So he had great accomplishments. He was a self-made man from the very beginning. But he came to the realization at one point in time that he had missed out on his family. He'd spent too much time in the boardroom and at events and functions, and not enough time on the ball fields, on the lacrosse fields, or the Little League events, or the dance recitals. And he came to the realization at a point in time when he only had a few days left to live. As he was considering the generational dilemma that he left too much of his money and not enough of his time to his relatives, he knew it was too late to help his kids. But there was one grandson who was sort of a ne'er-do-well, but he saw a flash of hope in this son. And so the ultimate gift was about the process that he put the grandson through to ultimately become a better person, to have values, understanding what it meant to be a hard worker, to giving back to society, to having friends, all of these things, and also to being grateful and knowing what love is. It's not a religious book. He does reference God at one point in time at the very end of the book. It's just a great story.